Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Hard Truth. Today's hard truth is there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. And that is from Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12. Most people would agree that you can do the right thing for the wrong reason. But is there a such thing as doing the wrong thing for the right reason? Does motive matter? I think it matters in both scenarios, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So grab your coffee or your cup of tea as we begin our story.
You set me up.
Who told you to pull out all the stops on Mr. Getty? Who made that, George?
It's entrapment. You set me up.
And more yet, the direction you took. Popes, swamis, snake handlers, all feeding at the same trough. Whose ideas were those?
You played me. It was a test. Your test.
And Colin, knowing he was guilty, seeing those pictures, what did you do? You put that lying bitch on the stand.
You brought me in. You put me there. You made her lie.
I don't do that, Kevin. That day on the subway, what did I say to you? What were my words to you? Maybe it was your time to lose.
Losing court cases as a lawyer is one thing, but not being able to find child killers as a detective is another thing. Okay? Law enforcement was under a lot of pressure. Okay, when cases like the Idaho 4 hit the news, I know it's chaos. It's a lot of different emotions for the police and for the public. Okay, I know how I felt when I read the first article. Okay, even Mr. Goncalves started snapping on the police as time elapsed with no suspect. Okay, the only thing the police can do is what seems right to them in these conditions. And it's really anyone's guess what that may actually be. I think some of the most captivating things about the Idaho 4 case is the level of brutality involved and the fact that these were kids, okay? You can't just keep telling the public you don't have a suspect and to call in leads. Listen to this.
Investigation and just look at social media and the rumors that fly out there. A small piece of information that has speculation added to it just takes its own life on the internet and starts rumors and outlets. So it's been devastating in some ways. In many ways, it just re-victimizes folks who have already suffered this terrible trauma.
What is next for this investigation?
Well, this investigation is not cold. We get tips every day that are viable. We get dozens and dozens of tips. We sort through them, we prioritize them.
The majority of this interview was just blaming social media and then finally denying rumors that the case was going cold. Okay, it was really just a waste of time. I believe, and this is just my opinion, a lot of information that has been released about this case got backdated, and I don't believe that there was any sheath before November the 18th.
College students in Idaho. The FBI is joining the manhunt for the killer as investigators return to the crime scene looking for any new evidence that could shed light on the mysterious killings. Mona Lange is in Moscow, Idaho, with the latest.
Okay, this is FBI joins manhunt for murder of Idaho students. This was published on November the 18th, 5 days after the murders. All right, listen.
At the home on King Street, the Idaho State Police Crime Lab at the scene, looking for any new evidence. Authorities asking local businesses if anyone has recently bought a fixed blade knife.
So on November the 18th, they're back at the house looking for new evidence. Listen.
Wounds. At the home on King Street, the Idaho State Police crime lab at the scene, looking for any new evidence. Authorities asking local businesses if anyone has recently bought a fixed.
Now, on the 18th, I believe this is when the knife sheath was planted and when they started filing these warrants for a knife sheath. Okay, this is the first evidence document for the search warrant for a knife sheath or a knife. It was on November the 21st for Walmart, and he says that it was actually served a week later on the 28th. Okay, this is what we would call an outlier in statistics because it stands out from the rest of the documents, whereas the other data dragnets were set the 26th, when it was the day after Kohberger's car was identified by two WSU officers. Okay, so this is the one earlier account, and the rest of them are pretty much filed on the same day and actually served on the same day. The Amazon warrant was filed on the 26th, and it was also served on the 26th. This one was filed on the 21st, and they said it was served on the 28th. Okay, so we'll talk about this one later. Right now, let's just look at the calendar. Okay, so they went back in the house on the 18th. And if you look at the calendar, November the 18th was a Friday. And then on that Monday, as soon as the offices opened back up, they filed the Walmart knife sheath search warrant, according to Mr. Maury, I think it was. Okay, so the 18th, they were back at the scene looking for new evidence. On the 21st, they filed the first of several digital dragnets for the knife and the knife sheath. Okay, here's an application for search warrant filed January 17th, or it says 12/29, 22A. I'm not gonna spend time with that. Let's just go to page 14. All right. This is the supplemental disclosure regarding the DNA test. I haven't been informed by Detective Talbot of the Idaho State Police that on November 13th, the sheep was recovered at King Road, under or next to the body of Madison Morgan. Under or next to, okay? Was it under or was it next to? Because Officer Payne said it was next to, but evidently somebody else said it was under. All right, if it was under, it'd be reasonable that he didn't see it. But he said it was to the side, next to. So, I mean, that's a problem. The Idaho State Crime Lab obtained a male DNA profile from the sheep. On December 27th, law enforcement agents recovered trash, sent it to the lab, and on the 28th, they got it back and compared it to the suspect's DNA profile. This information is being provided to the court pursuant to my duty and obligation to be fully candid with the court. Fully candid. Okay, this is law enforcement. I do not believe this information is exculpatory for the suspect. However, If the court believes it is exculpatory, then the court should consider this supplemental disclosure in its evaluation of the existence of probable cause or lack thereof. But I am specifically asking the court to not, in all caps, consider this supplemental disclosure as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause. The reason for this request is that if the DNA test results are held inadmissible at some point, such a ruling would not impact the finding of probable cause for this warrant, so long as the court is satisfied as to probable cause, regardless of the DNA test result, regardless of our star piece of evidence. We want this probable cause to be able to walk. We don't, if the DNA is going to be a problem, hey, let's stop here and look up the word exculpatory. I think we should stop right here. Look that up. I want to look up the word exculpatory. I already did it, but I'm going to do it again for the sake of this. Exculpatory, tending or serving to clear from alleged fault or guilt. Examples: the DNA found at the crime scene proved to be exculpatory. It did not match that of the defendant, and so he was acquitted. So that's what exculpatory means. Now let's go back to the document. Okay, so we know what exculpatory means. And first of all, let's clarify who wrote this. I'm going to scroll down and see who wrote this. Okay, this was signed the 29th of December by Don Daniels. Agency is Washington State University. Under penalty of perjury, 29th of December, Don Daniels wrote this. And it says, my duty and obligation to be fully candid with the court. Candid means forthcoming, frank. All right. It suggests honesty, but it doesn't necessarily mean honesty. But anyway, it says, I do not believe this information is exculpatory for the suspect. However, if the court believes this is exculpatory, is it exculpatory? Is it not? Okay, you say you got the DNA out of the trash. You say you got the DNA out the sheath. A lab has processed these things. Is it exculpatory or is it not? Why do we need this? Supplement in the first place? Because if it wasn't for the DNA, you wouldn't be able to get all these other search warrants and all these other signatures from the court for you to proceed. You say you have a suspect. We really do need to solve this. Okay? If you've got enough on this guy, we're going to go along with it and help you get what you need. Okay? But don't come back and say, if the court believes it's exculpatory. But up until now, all of these things you've come up with, there's been some certainty. You suggest that you say you're not looking for anybody else, put it that way. In a press release, they announced they are not looking for anyone else. Okay? So this can be exculpatory if you're not looking for anybody else. Okay? Now, it says, but I am specifically asking the court to not consider this disclosure. Why put it in here? Why put it in here? If the DNA test results are held inadmissible at some point, why would the DNA test results be inadmissible? Why? You say you got the DNA, some touch DNA off the sheath, obviously, or however you got it. And I'm sure you have some photo or video evidence of retrieving the Kohberger trash, at least I hope you do. And so There shouldn't be any question as to the two pieces of evidence that are being tested for DNA. So why would there be the possibility of inadmissibility? I just think this supplemental disclosure regarding the DNA supports my theory that there was no knife sheath with a DNA at the scene on the 13th. And I think that everyone involved, especially this lady at Washington State and the other people who were actually at the crime scene for those 2 days, are trying to cover themselves so that if this blows up and becomes, investigated, they'll be in the clear. And I will be the same way. If I didn't see a sheaf on the 13th, I would say somebody told me also. I wouldn't say I saw a sheaf and I didn't see it. And I wouldn't sign my name under perjury, under penalty of perjury without a disclosure. I mean, I probably would have done the same thing if I am not 100% sure that the sheaf was there on the 13th or that it was there at all, okay? That whatever was sent to the lab was actually at the crime scene, okay? Because if there are no pictures of a sheaf at all at the crime scene, then it's going to be even more questionable. So I probably would put this supplemental disclosure also. I'm just saying, what do you think? I'm not being biased. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just looking for the hard truth. And when you start putting disclosures and stuff, it's almost like a disclaimer, okay? Then I have to say why. Because everybody's saying the DNA doesn't lie and all that. It doesn't. But people lie, okay? Because if they didn't, you wouldn't have to say under penalty of perjury. We would assume that nobody would dare lie under oath. But I'm just tell you what I see from these documents. Honestly, what I see is that everybody involved is trying to cover their blank in case this sheath and this DNA thing blows up, because the DNA at the scene is sketchy and the DNA in the trash on the 28th, even though this man was supposedly a suspect, at least from the 21st or the 25th of November, is sketchy. And so I see everybody indirectly involved covering their, you know what. Okay, I'm going to put a pin in it right here. I think we have enough here to talk about, to have a great discussion. And since you all are such awesome, wonderful subscribers, okay, I'm going to leave you with a bonus clip.
I mean, being a cop's a hard job, man. It's a hard fucking job, man. I mean, honestly, I don't think they pay cops enough. I don't think they pay police enough. And you get what you pay for.